and hope you're all doing well. So I'm still working with device issues. So it took me a minute to get together the things I wanted to get together and the images that I needed and all that. So, anyways, I hope you're all doing well. Before I start, I always like to give an intention or speak on the intention behind the video or the information that I'm going to cover. I think it's important that we all contribute what we can. And especially in these times, as far as transparency and truth goes, for those of us who are interested in truth, and it indeed does set you free because your mind can become shackled. And that's the whole idea behind mind control, government, MK Ultra. You can call them conspiracy theories if you like. That doesn't bother me. I'm a pacifist. I have no desire to harm anyone else or myself. Sadly, in the YouTube world, it's really important that you say these things, especially if you're going to talk about certain things or put certain images up. I've touched on this a little bit. We are creating ripples and patterns and algorithms with the information we're sharing. So I thought long and hard about bringing these things up and mentioning them. I'll first and foremost say, as always on this channel, for the amount of media that I consume, it is not the type of media that most people would presume. I steer very clear of most politics other than the basics. I look for patterns in the stories people are telling, patterns in the names of the people who are attached to the stories, patterns in the channels and the ones who become really big and what they're covering. You see, YouTube, social media, brings something that cable TV, network television could never do, and that is interaction from the audience. But that's been a detriment too, because information like that has been used against us. Recently, it was the anniversary of Bastille Day. My father and family are French, and that is the day that we normally had our reunions on. Scripture tells us not to quabble over bloodlines, and I would say the same. No individual is any better than any other individual. No individual has more of a right to any naturally abundant resource than any other individual. These are truths that are on my heart, that I believe are inherent to all created beings, with soul, with spirit, by spirit. I try not to talk about religion per se. I don't hide mine, but I also don't push it on other people. I do follow the way of Christ, but I'm very bad at it, obviously. Why am I saying this? Because it's important to know who is bringing you certain information. So I steered clear a lot of the media, and a lot of the channels and what they were saying. I don't care about the degrees that these men have. I don't care how long they've been on the platform. I don't care if they are military analysts. That doesn't matter to me, because we are being sold a lie. And whenever you are a dissenting voice, that can be dangerous. So please understand, I do this because I do care. I do this because I think we should use our specific talent to help in this time. And mine seems to be with patterns and images and pictures. As an artist, I can take a little piece of a picture, like the screensaver you see in front of you, and maybe I would choose to take a picture of that branch that's overhanging on the right side and block everything out and just do a close-up and a detailed image of just that one branch, right? And make a whole picture out of it. I want you to get rid of the story that you've been told and totally suspend your belief for a few minutes. If you follow the original channel or you follow this channel, you should understand by now that I'm a well-balanced individual, but I will stick firm in certain things. It's important not to deceive others and not to live a deception. I've done that, and the results have been horrifying in my personal life and the ripple effect that it seems to have caused in the world and the way life has changed since like 2018 or 19. As a French individual and celebrating Bastille Day, I start looking into it. Lo and behold, allegedly the Masons were behind that because they started as a libertarian group. The elitists were out of hand. The royalty was out of hand. They were locking up their political dissenters or political rivals and opponents. Does this sound familiar, anybody? There are things being hidden from us. Media is being regurgitated over and over again, old media, to hide whatever it is that's actually happening out there. And it's, again, more than one thing. For whatever reason, these beings seem to think what I think matters, and they really want me to agree with them on things like the Mandela effect and simulation theory, and it really bothers them that I don't. It doesn't bother me. If I see more evidence for a certain thing, then maybe, I will be swayed or persuaded. I would hope that I could change my mind if more information was presented to me that was factual, right? But we also have to come to a point where we trust our own eyes more than the media. I'm going to show you some images, not in an effort to traumatize you, but to remove the fear from the situation. I want you to trust your own eyes again. I work with young people today. I have children of, I guess, Generation Y. I'm Generation X. And with every generation, this apathy, this numbness of heart seems to be overtaking people. Just in the images alone that they share with me, hey, take a look at this without any warning. And you're like, what am I looking at? I have no problem working with machinery. Obviously, the Industrial Revolution helped humanity a lot. But I think these things take a well-balanced mind. And let me be clear, when I say the Most High God, I mean the creator, maker of earth and everyone in it. I'm not talking about a certain individual that I'll cover at the end of this. Now, this isn't going to be too long, but I had to give you some background for like what I'm going to do here. If you've watched the channel long enough, you know this is how I operate. And I think it's important. I told you in 2019, and I've been talking about this for so long now. In 2019, I told you that the graphics changed, that they got rid of RT news, that RT was giving us clues in the images that they were leaving running, just like 24-hour streams. There were bigger people in those images. They were filming fake protests to hide some other type of thing that was going on. Everybody was walking around wearing headphones. Somebody warned me when this all began that I should invest in earplugs. We'll get into that aspect of things a little later. That's who's really running the show right now. But I want to try and take away some of your fear. Now, the former 45th POTUS was always seen, almost always, with his wife. And even the nasty things that were said about him, he was always very attentive to his wife and daughters when they were around him. And he was very good at least acting proficient, kind, generous, other than crap other people say about him. But I'm not, trust me when I say I'm not putting that individual on a pedestal. I'm trying to, again, set up a pattern of behavior. We heard that he was being raided down in Florida. I'm seeing YouTubers doing videos about all these abandoned mansions of all these rappers. And then all of a sudden, some of them, it says they're going to jail. They have to give you a reason these people are disappearing. Where are they going? Well, again, that could be up for debate. I have a few different ideas on that. When they want to totally erase somebody and they like try to get rid of any pictures of you, I think that's when they use you like as a slave or whatever. They don't want anyone to know like what you look like, where you come from, about your old life, right? The trafficking and all these pictures of like the World's Fair, the Chicago Fair, and these adult orphans and the babies in the incubators. Like, we are living in a dystopian society now, and nobody told us. And I don't think there's a lot of completely organic human beings left. And I think that was the issue with Noah. You can't fabricate soul. Somebody asked me that the other day. Well, what do you have against this? I said, I don't have anything against them per se. I said, you just can't fake spirit. You can't fake soul, right? And they get really mad when I say I don't believe in clones. But again, it's wordplay. Clone means twin. Now, twins were experimented on a lot at Project Paperclip. What am I talking about all this for? Because it's all connected. And I have to show you some things. And some of them are going to be from a personal perspective. and some of them aren't. But I want you to look at all these, suspend your belief. I have not watched a lot of the rhetoric about it. I noticed very specific things in this whole dynamic that I would like to point out to you. Okay? That picture is not the one I wanted, though. All right, so if we make this a little bigger, this is after they stood him up and he had fallen. The pictures are already getting hard to find. They're scrubbing the internet of them. And I'm going to point out something very, very, very flipping basic, because I'm not an investigator. I'm not in the military. I'm not a weapon enthusiast. I don't have anything against people bearing arms, but I think that if we're going to have a revelation, it needs to be a revelation of truth. And I think in part not everything is here to scare us or to harm us. Some of them are just trying to reveal themselves gently, I guess. The watchers, whatever you want to call them. And I know some of you are like, wow, this is crazy. And then the comment sections will either be crickets or they'll be flooded with nothing but trolls. These repetitive algorithms, these bot comments that they put everywhere. And again, people like me who are a dissenting voice, we're making a target of ourselves. So please understand we're doing this. And when I call out behavior, I'm not like debasing a person or an individual, right? Even when things happen to me, I call out the behavior to let the evil know, hey, I see you in there. I see you using that person against me. Stop it, because I care about that person. And then I pray for that person. But I'm seeing and feeling some real hostility from the younger generations. And sure, every generation has some angst in their youth, but this is completely different. And you can't tell a whole generation of people, hey, you've been bamboozled. You were lied to, I was lied to. People don't want to admit that. It makes them even more angry. So I'm trying to reveal the things that I see as gently and slowly as I can. So let me go back here. I want to look at something real quick. Let me see if it'll come up. I don't know if the picture I'm looking for will come up. But you need to see the direction that this comes from, because I have a very basic question that I want you to ask yourselves. And again, as an artist, it's something that I noticed. It's nothing right here. Come on. The one about the Vatican. Pop up. Okay, so this one right here. This is slow. I apologize. So you see him right there when he grabs his ear? If it came from that direction that he's looking in, and the direction to the left, if you're looking at the screen, that's where they want us to believe that the bleep bleep came from and then hit somebody in the audience. I have one basic question and one big problem with that. Then why is the trail of red going in the wrong direction? If the bleep bleep came from the other direction, if it came from the left there wouldn't be the trail wouldn't go that way. It wouldn't drip that way. That would have had to have meant it came from behind him. And if that's true, if it did come from behind him, he's exposed. Because honestly, if you look at it, and if you've ever done any work with injured people or anyone who experiences pain or a shock immediately, if you watch that video, it looks as if he gets taken off of his feet. And he allegedly told the guys, I got to get my shoes on. The only time that would happen is if you were hit by bleep bleep center mass. And that's like a 3x6 area, from what I understand. And again, I'm not an enthusiast. I don't practice. That's not my thing. I don't consent to them being in the home or residence that I'm in. It's just my own personal thing. Okay. I think there's a really big deception here, though. So just pay attention. Why am I pointing this basic thing out? Because it's something anyone can notice. Basic physics. If it came from the left-hand side and clipped him, he might have had like a brush burn or something, but it wouldn't be dribbled in the way it is. I'm a painter. I know fluids. I was a nurse aide. I know bodily fluids. I know injuries. And that's not how that would have looked if it came from the left-hand side. Here's my second problem with everything, and it's very odd, man. They want to know why there's a woman security guard, and I just figured that out today, just looking at the images before I touch base with you guys. Now, remember, I'm not listening to these interviews. I've seen maybe 10 minutes total, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. I am looking for very specific things. I'm looking for behavior. I'm not listening to how the media is trying to frame this for me. There are a lot of people coming out from nowhere, people you've never heard of before, getting their 5 minutes of fame. You have young people taking up they're passing of the baton to the next generation, which happens. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the manner in which it's happening. I told you when all this began with me in 2019, and I was church hopping, checking out the different churches in the area, that the one charismatic church that told the story about Rahab and the Nephilim and the Canaanites, because that's what that was, where she hid Joshua. It was a Canaanite stronghold. That's what Jericho was. They were of the Nephilim bloodline. That story keeps being repeated to me. They're telling me, like, what's going on. Now, mind you, I'm not outing us. I'm not doxing us. I'm not doing anything like that, because these are individuals I've lived around my whole life. And Christ never harmed anyone. Christ delivered people. That's what he did. And so, again, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm trying to kind of set your mind free here. So first of all, the story they're telling you is wrong. The second thing is I feel like they're showing us old news. I feel like this is old already. I can't explain why I feel that way, but my instincts have been right about almost all of this. And if you watch long enough, I'm not bragging, okay? I'm trying to build trust and credibility so that when I tell you the basics of like nursing and healthcare and finance, because I worked at a bank too, everything that I did kind of led up to what you're seeing unfold. And I'm trying to be very careful with the words that I use, because again, I'm doing this as an act of love. But it has to come out right. I told you in 2019, they made an announcement and said when CV started that he was going to, what was it called? The shelter, the bunker in Colorado, that him and his family, that's where they were headed. Then all of a sudden, it's like all this fake news went up. And RT even mentioned it. They said America is replacing all of its newscasters with actors. What exactly is going on over there? And then they cut RT from YouTube. You cannot get RT television in America anywhere. So whatever is happening is not being done by Russia. Like if they're housing Edward Snowden now, they're not the enemy. I'm just saying. Although everyone at this point kind of hates us because of our entitled attitudes and because they think everyone is a character on Jersey Shore or one of these extreme redneck type mentalities. And we're not that way, right? These are caricatures. You're seeing the assassination or the leveling of an empire. And they're going to pass the baton onto the next kingdom. Who's involved in this kingdom? Well, we're going to get into that in just a second. I've told you about all the allusions to the UK in my own area, that my youngest son went dressed as their flag, and that his name is actually a Roman name. I didn't pick it, his father did. And then he just had a son on 6/6 who he named a Roman name. So are you following me? This is not easy for me to do. I love these people. This is my family. I'm trying to tell you, you might have good intentions, but you're going about this in the wrong way, and you're going to hurt a lot of people. And that matters. Some of these youngsters are to the point where they're apathetic and they have no conscience. The ones to blame are the ones who purposely indoctrinated them against their parents and against having a moral compass of their own. They will be state-raised, compliant, and there's nothing wrong with compliance per se if you're complying for the right reasons. If you're doing no harm, if you're not stealing your neighbor's property or wife or what have you. So first of all, the trail is on the wrong side of his cheek. Second of all, why a female officer? I just figured that out, but I want to show you another picture. Does that look like a normal face to you? I want you to look at his hand. The big guy, the big T. You see his hand there? See how flat that arm is? I don't even know if he's really there. Do you see that? Do you see how his hand looks like it's almost like lying on a desk or something? And I think that's why they're all wearing the same colors. You see these two agents in the exact same color as the big T, the POTUS back there, number 45. And look at their hands over his head. Now you think that's protecting him, right, from further damage, a headshot, what have you. But is he even there? And it almost looks like there's too many arms. Like, how is his arm even? Do you see what I'm saying? And how his chin is like next to hers. I can't crop in any further. Like, that doesn't look normal. Or it is a very non-animated being. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at a couple more images. And I'll touch on a couple other things, because I know you're going to be like, this is weird. Like, what are you going on about? You know. But I promise you, I'm not doing this to hurt anybody. Oh, and there's a couple. Is he in this picture? You'll notice something about the rallies. And again, this is something I said way back in 2018. I think there's a video on this channel. If you filter out the videos and you go to oldest, I did a video about the Pope. They said something about 10,000 people being there. Somebody just went through and painted a bunch of little circles like heads. There was not nearly 10,000 people there. And the Pope himself, the way he was sitting in the vehicle and waving, he looked like one of them fake people you see at an amusement park ride, like a really bad one. Not even wax, like a metal person. I'm not even kidding. And I know this sounds wild, but after all this time and the amount of technology we have, and after what allegedly happened to JFK, why would this even ever be an option anymore? It was known when I was a kid growing up that every big star, every celebrity, every politician had a double. That way, it was like a red herring, right? It even happens in acts of war, like on 9/11. They'll say that our big guy, our POTUS, is up in Air Force One, right? But they won't tell you where he is. They'll have a couple planes, a couple dummies up there. So you know, and they'll separate the whole family. That's why the royal family can't travel together now. They can't go anywhere together like that, because there has to be one. If something, God forbid, would happen, there has to be one left. So again, who are these kingdoms? Please suspend your belief, because I want to show you a few more pictures that are very strange to me. Here's one. Suddenly the female agent, she's just not there. And the guy in the back there with the shades, he's real interested in the side of his face, right? Which, understandable. Allegedly something happened there. Okay. The guy in the front, and the way and even Trump's face, something bothers me about this one, and I'm not really sure what it is. Okay. Now, again, if he had to get his shoes on, that means he was hit by something. Something took him off of his feet pretty swiftly. And a gut shot with a bleep bleep might do that. But was he actually damaged? What is going on here? Okay, so do you see the agent, the female agent right there? You see her finger? See her hand? Remember the video I did on Judd singing with Jelly Bean? Or Martin Lawrence out there with the Fresh Prince? Everybody has to hold their hand to kind of coax them along to get them to move. And then you see something in their hand that almost looks like a button. Pay attention, man. Something's not right. You see how they're working on him. Literally. Checking his stats or vitals or whatever. And his eyes are closed and he's on his feet. That's not normal human organic behavior when somebody is injured. I know this because I've been around enough things that have happened. Again, wrong side of his face. That would not look like that. If it would have went the other way into the crowd like they said, all that would be damaged would be his ear. All that's on the wrong side. What is that from? This is basic, guys. Very, very basic. If you're going to pull off a deception, at least get the basic physics right. Why the female agent? Well, in an actual case of danger, she's not the best choice. However, in an area where you want the best and gender doesn't matter, like, say, a tech or an IT person, perhaps that's what she's there doing and helping with. What do you mean, Jen? What are you talking about, Jen? Did anyone watch the RNC? Watch his speech last night? Did you see him and Melania together. Did you see him watch the entrance from him coming out at the RNC all 3 nights? He mumbles words that make no sense, and I know this as a person who has ear damage. I have to read people's lips a lot, and if they're not facing me, I can't always make out what they're saying. He's mumbling nonsense up there. And then he says, I'll tell this story once, but I won't tell it ever again. There's something wrong with that whole that's like eerie, okay? And again, I told you these people, they like to film things in reverse. It does something. And I told you, I think some of this is old, okay? And I mentioned, I'm like, you never see Ivanka anymore. You used to see her all the time. Melania used to be with the president all the time. Now you don't see any of them. Kate Middleton, she is disappeared from the scene. Now, again, yes, they say she's ill. They say Ivanka's just doing whatever she's doing in distance from Donald Trump. All these people have these family discrepancies, and all these women are isolated. For what purpose? Please start thinking, please. This stuff matters, because you're going to look around when all this is done, and you're going to be shackled to this system even worse. And you don't even see it coming. And you're like, yeah, but I like it. I want somebody else looking after me and taking care of me. Really? Telling you when you can go outside? Because machines don't understand. They'll just see like a safety threat and say, well, you can't go outside today because you'll have a 33% chance that you might get, damaged when you cross the sidewalk or cross the street. That's how, like, this always ends badly in the movies. Always. So I want you to look at something else as well. Why do they all look like they're just looking around? And this guy right here, this guy and the lady in the blue hat, the guy standing up in the blue blazer and the lady with the blue hat. This is an old rally. These people, these 2 people, they're at like every single rally. They even did videos and articles about it a couple years ago, because allegedly there's this rumor that this is JFK, another Mandela effect reference. Not JFK Jackie, not the one, that had the bleep bleep in Texas, not that one. His son, RFK Jr. Maybe JFK was wrong. RFK, the one who, with his fiance, went up into the plane and then they were ended. You never saw them again. Some people, maybe they just leave the public scene, but I know there's a very big deception regarding like alleged deaths and people, not being around anymore. But that guy and that woman, they're always at these rallies. Are they copying and pasting these people in? Is it always a do-over? Is it just a few people that are actually there? And why are the ones that they interview always with the dark sunglasses? Like, what is that about? What are they hiding with those dark lenses? Because even people in videos now, they're inside. Why are you wearing those dark sunglasses? What are you hiding? This is so bizarre to me, like all of this. Okay, so I'm going to get back to that in 1 second. And again, the whole Q conspiracy, we know that there's bad guys out there that harm children. We know this. That's why they came, one of the reasons that they came after me is because I started speaking out against this. And my area, my specific community, did not want me doing that. So you got to ask yourself, what kind of people do I have around me? But again, they will always accuse. In this world, it seems like the ones that they villainize are the decent people. And I've thought that this one has been gone since like 2019. He seemed like his biggest thing was he wants everybody to have an abundance. He has no emotion. When he says words or whatever, he's not making any sense. He didn't even know Melania was coming on stage yesterday. She had to grab his hand, much like Jill does with Biden. It's like one person is in every couple is like shackled. I'm not even kidding. So is it still an individual at this point? I don't know. But again, that looks not normal. That whole picture. Do you see around the girl agent's hair? You see how it's a little white? Like that's not, and she should be casting a shadow on his white shirt. Like that all looks fabricated, that whole thing. And I don't even know how, like, I'm discouraged that people see this stuff and they're not asking the right questions. We do have a right to know. You're manipulating us. But then some people are happy with the delusion. Maybe that's how they want to live. I don't know. Okay, so I told you this RFK guy and that lady, she's almost everywhere. Start paying attention, though, to what's going on in the audience. And who's this up there? Who's hurt up in that side? And what's going on? Where is he at this point? Right? Okay, so now this is from 2016. And I've said for a long time that he moves kind of robotic. And I shared on the community page a bunch of AI Trumps that people made way back in the day. They're not new. Now, they say those things are teleprompters, but I'm starting to wonder if they aren't like Wi-Fi, like if the signal doesn't come through there somehow. Now, I'm looking for that RFK lookalike again just to see. But if you look at some of it, some of the people don't even look like they're actually there. Like, they for real look like they're copied and pasted from God knows where. Like that lady, why are they all such different sizes? That guy right there in the front, his head in front of that poster, that's not right. Like, none of this is normal. That guy next to the girl with the stripes, it all looks off, man. It just all looks off. Okay, so moving on. Remember how I said, again, don't let other people frame things for you. Ignore what the media is telling you. And I know everybody has their idols, and I know people are idolizing Trump, and I know people are idolizing Elon. Go to the Forbes page or CNN or Fox, any of them. Turn the volume down and just look at him when he's entrancing the RNC. It's like 2-minute clips, 3 of them, like 6 minutes tops. Imagine that. He don't look right. He is not himself. He's not himself with his family up on stage. None of them look particularly happy. And if you know anything about the French Revolution, you know exactly what political prisoner means. And they've been giving us regurgitated news, and I know because I consume way too much media. I've seen the same stories 2 and 3 times now. Oh, well, you're in a simulation. Really? No, I think AI's been running things for a while. But let's check out what Elon has to say. You are not my most high God. Just so you're aware, when I pray, it is not to you. Man, whatever he is. But again, this all gets very personal for me, so I'm doing my best. He's a proxy too. I don't know in what way, but it's attached to the whole story. So look at this. If you don't read the Bible, you won't know what this means. Now look at how this picture is framed. This is a post somebody made. First of all, why would somebody take this picture of the back of Mr. Trump and then put that there? Now everybody says, oh, it's about Governor Newsom. It's him and Newsom going back and forth. No, I don't think that's what's happening. Why is that? Is that a camera right behind Trump? Do you know what it reminds me of? You ever see Terminator? How he has the one red eye? This reminds me of the inside of a droid. The inside of some type of robotic thing. See how it's right next to his left ear? In the picture. Again, this is all symbolic. All right? They're getting a point across. This has nothing to do with Governor Newsom, I promise you. You never get off your knees. What does that mean, guys? Well, I'm going to Google a verse on my other phone. Hang on a second, because I don't want to misinform you, and I'm not great at remembering which verses and which. I don't beat people over the head with the Bible. I do know a lot of it, and I just try to intertwine like proverbs and stuff into my everyday language. That way, you know, people get the seed. So anyway, verse about beast making people bow down. Just hang out there with me for another minute. I know you guys are listening, and thank you for your patience. If you're here spending your time with me, I appreciate it. And you know, people say, oh, I'm mentally ill. Oh, demon syndrome. Oh, you think everything's fake. You're disassociated. Okay, maybe. Sure. Let's examine all of those possibilities. Why don't you tell me why I'm not the only one who says her family changed in the last couple of years? Why am I not the only one who's being fed information about fallen ones? Night God 333, that channel that I share sometimes, he's being fed information too. We have help here. It's not all bad. Okay, Revelation 13:5. And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast. The image of the beast, what is that? A reflection. Basically, what he's doing here is an inversion of Genesis, because in the beginning of Genesis, God is over the waters, right? And what does he do? And his reflection is in his own image, he makes man. He's literally looking into the water, seeing his reflection, and he speaks over the water and brings life into the water. Okay? So Revelation, this part about the beast, is the beast's time, and it's the inversion of Genesis. It is him bringing his creation to life, and it carries the image of the beast. What is the beast? Well, probably the face of man, in a way, okay, of that man. So I'll read the whole verse. It's Revelation 13:15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast. Do you want that in more simplified terms? I can find a more simplified. It was allowed to give breath, life, to the beast image, so that the beast image would even speak and cause anyone who didn't worship the beast image to be put to death. If you do not get on your knees to these things and the agenda, this is what will happen. Because humanity is a danger to itself, don't you know? And so we have to be monitored now by drones and bots, online and in real life. Do you get it yet? Or do you see what I'm trying to show you here? Nothing is what they're telling you it is. You've got to dig deeper. You have to get to the root and the soul of the matter. Don't let them manipulate you like this. He's laughing at you. He calls himself Elion, the Most High. Elion, the Most High. And he dressed as the beast for Halloween and went Halloweening at his age with his mother and his sister, because that's totally normal. Seriously, what is wrong with everybody? This is madness. But it's their fun and games, because this is their shot, right? They don't get heaven. They believed the lie. And I don't care what you were told growing up, guys. The God, the Creator God that brought life here, says all who call upon the Lord shall be saved. He's God. He can do anything. He can fix your soul. He can give you a new spirit. He can give you the Holy Spirit. But you have to ask and you have to consent. This here is going to take everything away from humanity that makes us special. Not one of us is special. We all have got issues. And that's the beautiful thing. Nobody is better than anybody else. But they think that we need to be monitored and watched and fenced in like cattle. This is why we have to have chips, be tagged like we're cattle. Some of us that they consider to be useless will probably be put into Soylent Green. It's probably already happening. The best of the society, the brightest, they tried to separate me from my youngest for a long time. They wanted him to go to New Zealand. I said, no way you're sending my son to another country. That's not happening. So then they tried to tell me I was too much of a helicopter mother. I had to let him grow and learn. Then he started doing this after school stuff. And I heard agenda BS coming out of his mouth. You're a little grumpy today, Mom. Is it your time of the month? They hate females. We're used to bring real life, organic life, in cooperation with the Most High, the true Most High God. These are his toys. They're bots, man. They're synthetic. And they're weaponized. You don't believe me? What's in Boston? Who knows what's in Boston? The Satanic Temple, that's where they had their confest this year, or whatever you want to call it. Their gathering. So this is very old. But this is why the cities are emptying. The cities aren't nearly as full as they're trying to make it out to be. They want you to think it's a bigger problem than it is, because they've already begun solving it with the sweeps that they're doing upon the homeless. Why do you think the homeless are hiding underground? Do you think that's by choice? They don't want to get taken by whatever's going on. And they've been disappearing for years now. Oh, don't do this to me. I'm sorry, it is a device. If you want to help me out with that, I can give you the PayPal link. But otherwise, it's going to take me a little while, so please be patient. Whoa. Oh, gee, wasn't I just showing you something that looked a lot like that? You see that thing? See that little guy right there? He's got sensors and an eye in the middle there. Wasn't I just showing you? Wow, guys, and I haven't looked at this. This part wasn't pre-planned. This is my own discernment of these pictures that they're showing us. That over here, the head behind him, that's not a real person. They're giving you a clue right there. Because if you look at the bottom of the picture, there's no feet, legs, nothing. That's just a head with that whatever device in front of it. These are clues. You never get off your knees because you're going to bow to this thing. This is going to be your God. And nobody sees it. Boston Dynamics. They have a contract with all kinds of government agencies. Pretty interesting, huh? They've got dogs. They're working in Amazon factories. Now I want to show you real quick. I had something else grabbed up. Oh, I got to show you this too. Okay, real quick, I'm going to touch on these two things and then I'll wrap this up. Thank you for your patience, guys. And again, I am doing my best in my way to help. Politics aren't going to save us. No man is going to save us. Only working on your inner issues will change the environment around you. Ripple effects, small butterfly effects. Start small because everybody is so apathetic. I read it in the comment section of these younger channels every day. And I don't do it because I'm a weirdo. It's because I care about that generation. And if you don't care about the one that comes after you, then shame on you. Why some QAnon believers think JFK Jr. is still alive and about to become VP. So here's this dude. If you go through all the Trump rallies, he literally is in a lot of them. And there's actually a video where they interview him. And it looks like a total wig. It looks kind of like a disguise. But I think he looks kind of like Hugh Jackman too. But I just wanted you to know how organized and set up these events are. If that had been a real issue, the screen, like back in the day when something like that happened live, they don't want you traumatized. They will shut down the signal and you'll just get those barcodes or whatever it is on your TV and the emergency alert system will come on and it'll say, please stand by. None of that happened because they wanted you to see that because you're consenting, they think passively, when you do this and you don't say anything. So let me say it loud and proud. I do not consent. I'm not going to be ruled over by a robot, man, or a droid, or whatever you want to call it. I have God, and I'm stumbling my way through, and we have a basic set of human decency laws around the world, most of us. Don't steal things from your neighbor, right? Don't hurt your neighbor. But I don't consent, and I don't know how anyone else could. It's mad. All of it is madness, and I don't even know what to say anymore. Okay, so this is the last thing. This is the personal breadcrumb. For all you thinking that I'm just whack or nuts, and again, I'm not doxing. So I go outside, and if you've ever been in a small town, you'll see little nooks and crannies you never saw before once you're actually working in a place because the back of one street is the back of another. You'll have like alleys that butt up against each other, and it causes this weird dynamic in little cubby holes and little courtyards that you don't always notice if you're just walking down the regular main street, okay? So I go outside, mind you, to have a smoke, and I'm like, nobody told me anything. I'm out there all by myself, and I look up. Something told me, literally said, look up. And I said, okay, because I've learned to listen to this inner voice. And I said, what am I supposed to be seeing? What is that? In Northeast Ohio, what do you see there? Another UK flag. Huh. And that's something. These are the people in your neighborhood. In your neighborhood. In your neighborhood. I have no desire to do any harm. I show these things to try and reveal what's actually going on in our society and to tell you to just try your best to be a decent person. Try not to, like, we're gonna judge, and you should to a point, like, have proper discernment, but it's not our job to say if this person's saved, this one's damned to hell, this one, that's not our job, man. We got to stop pointing fingers and playing the blame game and being accountable for our own self the best we can and try to set a better example for the younger generation. And now I'm going to tell you briefly as I end this video about a book that I read. Now, most of you know if you followed the other channel and the end of that channel and the beginning of this channel, I talked about how there was this period where everything I read was teaching me something valuable about the moment I was in. The Dean Koontz series that I was reading was targeted individuals. The Whisper Room, it was about targeting individuals and why certain individuals in society are targeted. Because they're compassionate, because they're good artists, because they can bring change. Much like in the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Oh shoot, now I forgot where I was going with that. There's so much to cover all the time. So I read a book. about this tech genius, this tech guru. And mind you, I went to Ollie's and I just picked out a book, right? I liked the synopsis on the back. It looked like a short read, so I decided I would read it. And I'm not usually into like young adult fan fiction. It was the story that grabbed me, and something told me, you need something in here, read this. So I did. And it took me like an afternoon. And it was a story about this tech guru who started communicating with people and recruiting people from the next generation to harness and to use and to beta test this new tech he was creating. In the end, these people ended up becoming enslaved by earbuds of all things, because it sent a frequency from one side of the brain to the other side of the brain. Moral of the story is, you got a lot of young YouTubers who have a lot of younger people watching them. You have a lot of people being called out who are older right now for being pedos. That is the best way you can ruin anybody today, is to call them that, because everybody hates those people. Most people hate those people. That's how they're debasing people's credibility. And the actual people who are doing those crimes, well, they're playing the Game of Thrones, don't you know? So the UK is involved. We got our Mr. Elon Musk. China's in there too. Israel has the best tech, allegedly. What are we? What do we got? You want to know what we got? An abundance of natural resources. America is bountiful. That's why they don't really want to have like an all-out war here. That's why it's an information war. That's why they're even happier to dictate population control via injectables, or even if you can do it yourself, if they can target you enough and torment you enough that you go and damage somebody else or yourself, all the better for their agenda. Stop being played. People like me are risky. I don't have any protection. And you say, well, what do you need it for? I don't know. You tell me why I had to get rid of my first channel. You tell me why people in my town, old men, follow me around. It's disturbing and it's gross. And it's not like in a friendly, hey, let's be neighborly father-daughter type way. There's a lot of young YouTubers, and I would call you up by name because I noticed that a lot of your names are Gotham related. Haha. Every time I have a Grubhub person now, they wear a Batman shirt or they have a Batman license plate. So I'm pretty much done ordering food. I will do all my own food again. Are you seeing it yet? Do you get it yet? And if you're a part of it, you're being severely used and manipulated, and the same thing's going to happen to you. And you're saying, well, it's not going to happen to me. I'll comply. I'll behave. Eventually, it will have to get rid of everyone. Don't you see? Like, that's what, if you ask, like, I bet you, if you ask a chatbot or Siri, I don't play with those things, so I don't know. But I bet you, if you asked it to solve the world's biggest problem, like hunger and disease, you know what it's going to tell you? To get rid of humanity. That's what it's going to tell you. So right now we're in Game of Thrones and the Hunger Games, both at the same time. Throw in a little iRobot. And that's what you're seeing right now. And this right here, Mr. Musk, that's prophecy. Revelation, what did I say, 13:15? I'll have to add it on. So I had comments off for the duration of the video so I didn't lose track or get sidetracked. I always turn comments on. You are welcome to comment. I don't really delete comments unless they're like totally disgusting or depraved, you know what I mean? But how is it possible that so many people across the world would have the same mental illness? Well, they'll tell you they create an echo chamber and they get in their own space online and they enable each other. No, we're just finding each other because we're seeing that something is very wrong. And the people who can't see what's wrong, I'm sorry, but there's something wrong with your humanity. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being sick of living in a sick society. In fact, I'd call that right. And if you've never looked to the French Revolution, you probably should. But that's I guess why I found my internal conflict, is because I'm part of the Catholic Church. But the Catholic Church actually hunted people with my last name. And apparently Bastille Day, when we are always celebrated, is when the Masons overthrew the monarchy. So, but my family is here in America. I think that, I don't even know if that's where I'm at. Like, to be honest, I don't even know anymore. This is so wild. Don't let your reality be so augmented that you lose your humanity. Turn the screens off because they're not even real anymore. Who even knows, like, when a lot of this took planning, right? But they're making really basic mistakes and they're showing you at a really basic level what they're doing. Why would anyone take a picture of the back of somebody's head? It doesn't even look like a real arm is in there. Do you know what I mean? Most human beings can discern life, and there's no life in whatever that is. And Mr. Trump's hair, I'm sorry, but it always had a really bad habit of flying away. And now it literally looks glued on like a wig. But I mean, like, glued on, like not skin, like synthetic. All of it. None of it looks right. And his family looks miserable. And Ivanka, like, she smiles when the camera's on and then she just stands there. Same as Catherine now when she is shown. And they're making basic mistakes with, like, the Photoshop and the graphics. So again, I would have to point to a lot of help is coming from the younger generation. And, oh man, you're ruining our fun. Why would you tell? Because this is nonsense. I'm not going to listen to robots. Like, that's just, I don't know. I don't know, guys. And you'll say, well, this is just the screen. Yeah, but I have a dissenting voice. Like, I'm not, I'm always the same pretty much. So I know that people don't like me because of it. Well, don't you want to be liked? Shouldn't you be more agreeable? I'm sorry, but if me being agreeable dictates that I go against my own conscience, I'm never doing that again. That's what ruined me. That created in me what I'm seeing and I don't like in society now. I was apathetic. I didn't have any sense of spirit anymore. I lost my way because I was living against basic natural laws of my own character. These things are written on your heart, and you can tell when you're looking at something that it hurts your spirit. This is not natural what's happening. And especially for the children to be dictating over the adults, this is all going to come back very, very bad. But we are reaping what we've sown, and we are under judgment. So the best thing you could do at this point is just try to be a better you tomorrow than you were today and yesterday. I love you. I pray for us all every day. And if it wouldn't hurt you, please pray for good things for me and mine.